Someone has to feed the Army. Retired Command Sergeant Major Steve Ball of Knoxville did just that while attaining the highest enlisted rank in the U.S. Army. Our Don Dare, himself a veteran, says Ball had been a sous chef before enlisting. He then worked in food services during his Army career and remains in that field today as a civilian.
Okay, so catering today. All right, how many people are we doing?
Steve Ball continues to do what he's always done, lead others as a culinary specialist. At East Tennessee Children's Hospital, he not only is in charge of the entire kitchen staff, he's the facility's executive chef, responsible for the dietary needs of the entire hospital. Steve is a retired Command Sergeant Major in the Army's Quartermaster Corps and Food Service Operation, where he cooked meals and worked alongside others to prepare food comparable to any major restaurant.
A couple of my large garrison dining facilities, we fed 500 per meal.
And here it's how many?
We feed about 80 patients per meal, and then for the family and staff, we feed about 200 at lunch.
Steve joined the Army in 1984 at Fort Knox, Kentucky, where he first tasted a strange dish.
Yes, that's when I came into basic training, and I discovered what grits were. I was from Massachusetts. I didn't know what grits were.
Having been a college graduate, Steve rose through the ranks quickly with many overseas duties.
My first assignment in Belgium was working for the Supreme Allied Commander of Europe as one of his personal cooks.
A personal cook?
Yes. It's a 4-star general, and he actually had 4 of us total working in his house, and we prepared a lot of fancy meals.
At mid-career, he volunteered to be a drill sergeant, a soldier who many enlistees fear.
So that was probably the most fun I had in the Army. It's also the hardest I ever worked.
Hardest? Why?
That's a get up at 3 a.m., come home maybe at 9, 10 o'clock at night.
In 1990, Steve wrote a 4-page magazine article for the Association of the U.S. Army, the title, A Roadblock in Rwanda.
Yes, I wrote that when I was a student at the Sergeant Major's Academy. That was supposed to be a humanitarian mission. When we got there, the airport wasn't open. There wasn't any water for people to wash with. There was a lot of sickness and death, and that was a genocide. Our primary mission was to open the airfield so that the humanitarian relief supplies could be flown in and then dispersed to the folks that needed them.
Among his 16 different assignments in 20 years was that of a brigade food service supervisor.
We could serve over 1,800 soldiers off of 2 mobile kitchen trailers. We could give them a hot breakfast and a hot dinner, and then they would have the operational ration, the MRE, for lunch.
Bosnia, 98-99, that was not an easy assignment.
I was in a headquarters battery, so I was not working in food. This was not a humanitarian deployment, this was a peacekeeping deployment. So we were in full battle rattle, we call it. The helmet, the flak jacket, locked and loaded when we went off to camp. We had to be ready for anything.
The Army's Quartermaster Corps inducted Steve into its Hall of Fame in 2024. Steve's dad was in the Army Quartermaster Corps in Korea. Steve's son, a West Point graduate, was also in the Quartermaster Corps. Steve ended his career as Command Sergeant Major of the Army's Culinary School.
I think today's soldiers are probably the most operationally experienced we've ever had. Right now, we have an active duty and reserve and National Guard force, because they've all deployed, that are probably the most experienced.
And Steve Ball likely trained and fed many of them. Don Dare, 6 on your side.
You know what, if you know a veteran who should be recognized, take a moment, send Don an email at ddare@wate.com. You can also give him a call at 865-633-6923.